Dying off on the Oregon coast this summer. They've been dying off because of diseases that they are linking to increased temperatures and whatnot. And you know, we're seeing erosion on the coastlines, and we're seeing effects in our mountains. I mean, you can definitely, if you look truly, you can see the connections. But you can also totally turn a blind eye if you want to.
Turn a blind eye origin. This expression is believed to come from the Siege of Copenhagen, 1801, in which Lord Horatio Nelson, second in command of the English fleet, was ordered to withdraw, but pretended not to see the flagship's signals to do so by putting his glass to the eye that had been blinded in an earlier battle. His attack led to a major victory. The British Navy under Lord Nelson had received orders to leave the area because Danish ships were approaching. Nelson put his telescope to his blind eye and said, "I see no ships." His ships remained where they were, and in the battle that followed the Danes were defeated. Why did Nelson turn a blind eye? Turning a blind eye is an idiom describing the ignoring of undesirable information. When this order was brought to the more aggressive Nelson's attention, he lifted his telescope up to his blind eye, saying, "I have a right to be blind sometimes." Turn a blind eye to something. Knowingly ignore some wrongdoing. Can't you just turn a blind eye to this little incident, instead of telling Mom and Dad? Turn a blind eye to someone or something. To ignore something and pretend you do not see it. Pretend not to notice. How can you turn a blind eye to all those starving children? If you turn a blind eye to something bad that is happening, you deliberately ignore it because you do not want to take any action over it. The authorities were turning a blind eye to human rights abuses. Now, let's listen to some examples.
We are appalled and outraged and are demanding that things be changed, because it's the people who are at the top, the people who are colluding to keep abusers in power, the people who are colluding to turn a blind eye so that they can just keep making more money.
You know, even an ICE officer would find them because of what they go through. And I don't care where a child's from. In no way, shape, or form should anyone turn a blind eye to some of the atrocities.
Of this. Her virginity statement was not a piece of wishful thinking. Although the major religions of the region extol premarital chastity, in a patriarchy, boys will be boys. Men have sex before marriage, and people more or less turn a blind eye.
In the face of these social and environmental injustices, some of us feel rage, and some of us feel impotent, while others turn a blind eye.
And models are trivialized and our concerns are dismissed because we're young women. People would not have been able to turn a blind eye if this were a male-dominated industry.
Marshall Johnson. He has some pretty fluid ideas on how to police the town of Armadillo. In an early mission, helpfully called Political Realities in Armadillo, he reveals a conflict of interest, to put it lightly, between public safety and big business.
I got the railway, the people who pay my salary, trying to get me to turn a blind eye to them burning down settlements up there.
He also is more than happy to turn a blind eye to crime.
He's outside my jurisdiction.
That is, until he owes you a
favor. It's not solely an international issue or a crime that must occur across borders. Human beings are being sold right here in America, in our own backyards and in our own communities, in neighborhoods across this country, in rural and urban communities, as well as tribal lands. We cannot turn a blind eye to trafficking that happens at home, and we cannot tolerate the exploitation of our own citizens.
Realize they're being manipulative. No one wakes up and is like, haha, I'm gonna be super manipulative today. Think about your contributions to your relationships and how they affect things. It's okay to admit when you've messed up. It's more messed up to turn a blind eye and keep being a jerk. It takes a lot to break off any sort of relationship because it can feel like a defeat or like you've given up. But sometimes that's just straight up the best and healthiest solution for both.
Decided to do and failed at. The people from this district got together to fight the system. They basically rebelled. That's what a rebellion is, when lots of people come together and rebel against a system. If you turn a blind eye to something bad or illegal that is happening, you're basically not taking much notice of it on purpose so that you don't have to deal with it.
The Indian government, both national and local, seems to be turning a blind eye to these fishermen's practice of crossing the border. That's because these communities are already neglected and underserved by their faraway government. Stopping a practice that has bolstered their economy for years would create more disdain and frustration among the people.
Last time your doctor suggested that. Our healthcare system is so broken because we are in the business of symptom relief, not symptom prevention. Dr. Andrew Wiles says we have a disease management system, not a healthcare system. And we're blind to this. We're sort of turning a blind eye to this, I think, because we think chronic stress is just an inevitable part of life. It's just how we have to live. And as doctors and patients, we are turning a blind eye to this because it's too hard to face. We don't want to realize what it would take in order to alleviate our stress, to predispose us to longer, healthier lives.
Ironically, the Chinese government eventually expelled the New York Times anyway, for unrelated reasons. Even today, the medical community is mostly turning a blind eye to forced organ harvesting. Well, gosh, if they have a blind eye, they should go to China. I hear you can get great cornea transplants there. No questions asked.
These details are too important to ignore when our children's health is at risk. I'll end with this. This has happened time and time again in human history. Science is not static. Romans had lead pipes. Asbestos was used in schools. Tobacco was considered healthy. Cocaine was used in medicine. Over and over again, we have unknowingly harmed our communities. It has taken strong advocates and a lot of strong science to overcome these norms. We have learned and we have evolved. We have righted our wrongs in the past despite the tension that exists between the profits that drive the industry and the science that it could impact that profit. How much longer are you going to turn a blind eye?